sort of changing things up, and it occurred to me that one of the things that was sort of missing in the Times in their food coverage, which I thought was very thorough in general, was just that people's relationship to food was something that wasn't ever really addressed in the daily paper, certainly, and also over the decade of writing at the Times, whenever I go to a party or anything, it seemed that somebody was telling me some funny or moving food story about their life. And so it occurred to me that wouldn't it be great to create a column in a magazine where those stories could be told, and it would be even better if those stories were told by writers who we're all familiar with, but who don't normally write about food, people who are just known for their great writing. So with that idea in mind, we created this column called Eat Memory, and I just started reaching out to novelists, screenwriters, poets, playwrights, and asking them to contribute something. And I wasn't really sure what kind of response I would get. I was actually expecting a lot of no's. And in fact, it seemed like there were a lot of closet foodies out there and who had stories to tell. And there was just kind of one rule that I established when I would talk to a writer about doing an essay, and that was that they don't, that the stories not be sentimental, that nobody really wanted to read about your grandmother's favorite donuts or whatever. And in fact, that's exactly what I didn't get. The stories that came in were tended not actually to be necessarily happy or sweet. They tended to kind of capture important moments in people's lives and that were often difficult or challenging. And anyway, I was very pleased with the stories that they came in, and thought after a while, a couple of years, that wouldn't it be nice to put these together into a book. Just to give you a little sense of some of the stories that are in Eat Memory, there's one essay. It was one of the first ones that came in. It's by Saunders, and he actually decided to write what is essentially a parody of food essays and Americans' relationship with food. And he wrote about how he had quit eating 4 years before, but had actually gained 70 pounds. And at the end of the essay, he offered a recipe for what he called Life's Air Brunch, which called for approximately 6 cubic feet of air. Billy Collins wrote a really nice poem about eating in a restaurant in Providence. And the poem is sort of his perspective on the fish he's eating and the fish's perspective on him. Robbie Bates wrote about living in South Africa during apartheid. He was an adolescent at the time, and how his memories of the sort of tension he so closely associates with the sort of fiery curries that they eat there. Also, Yiun Lee wrote about growing up in China, where Tang was this kind of luxury item, and her family couldn't afford it, but someone had given them a glass Tang bottle, which her mother would carry to and from work, sort of like someone would carry a Louis Vuitton bag. And then how everything was, her view of